This upcoming season is shaping up to be very big, quite possibly one of the biggest seasons that we have seen in gaming in quite some time. And the reason I say that is because of all the releases we have coming out for the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is supposed to be coming out on June 5th. We're supposed to be getting Mario Kart World. In July, we're supposed to be getting the new Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. And we're also supposed to be getting the Final Fantasy remake on the Switch 2. I don't remember the exact release date for that, but we're supposed to be getting that sometime in the future as well. And we also learned that we're going to be getting third-party games on the Switch 2. One that has been confirmed is Cyberpunk 2077, and while I think that's something that's pretty cool, I feel like it's something that possibly might fall below desired expectations due to the fact that it's an M-rated game on a console that that primarily promotes first-party games, and not only that, the prices of everything's supposed to go up because of the tariffs and all that other stuff. And as far as upcoming games are concerned, there's been speculations on Diablo 4 quite possibly being one of the few third party video games that we've seen within the past couple of years that might be heading to the Switch too. And this is something that was covered by multiple websites or multiple gaming websites. The one I looked at was Games Radar, and it basically talked about how Rod Ferguson, the general manager of Diablo, believes that there's an opportunity to bring Diablo 4 to the Switch 2 sometime in the future. And as people already know, we already have Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 Resurrected on the Switch console. So, it's a possibility that Diablo 4 could be on the Switch too. But then again, how many people would want to see that? And the reason I say that is because I looked at Diablo 4 on Metacritic, and it got a Metascore of 86, and now it has a user score of 2.5. So that tells me that a lot of people really hate the game for whatever reason. And it's actually quite shocking because I don't remember hearing too many bad things about it when it first came out back in 2023. But I do remember that when the game first came out back then, Blizzard Entertainment was constantly touting the fact that the game, I guess, made like $666 million in revenue within its first week. And obviously, I mean, that's an ominous number because of, all the sixes and stuff like that. But, it's a Diablo game. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Diablo 4, I feel like is one of those games that it was overly hyped and it's something that fell below a lot of people's expectations. Plus, it took Blizzard forever to follow up on Diablo 3, a game that people actually liked for the most part. And with Diablo 4, you have like six character classes, you have six regions, you have an open world, environment, and you have like player versus player combat. There's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of like features and a lot of different things in Diablo 4 that kept people entertained when it first came out. I believe a couple of months ago they came out with their first expansion, Vessel of Hatred, and I'm not going to be surprised if Blizzard decides to milk the hell out of this game within the next several years with expansions because that seems to be something that they're well known for. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Diablo 4 on the Switch too is something that a lot of people probably won't care about. And I'm not just talking about like, the excessive blood, gore, and violence because it's M-rated, and I guess there's no problem having a couple of M-rated games on the Switch too. But the thing is, I feel like Diablo 4 is something that has been heavily forgotten within the past year or so because I don't really hear people talking about it as much as they should. And and yeah, I mean, Diablo 4 came out during a year where we had so many high profile video game releases. And most of the other games that came out in 2023, you don't hear people talking about them as much anymore as well. So it really makes me wonder how much popularity Diablo 4 still has compared to how popular it was when it first came out. But but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they decide to do something special with Diablo 4. It's quite possible that it's way too soon, and maybe the demand to make a Switch 2 port of Diablo 4 is not high enough at the moment. But but yeah, I mean, I feel like Diablo 4 is one of those games that a lot of people feel is overrated, but at the same time, considering the success that it had, it wouldn't surprise me if Blizzard tried to, bring it to another console, even if it's a family-friendly console like the Switch 2. And even though it will probably be, mainly ignored because of all the other high-profile Switch 2 games that we got. And and yeah, I mean, I feel like for the most part, Nintendo is not. It's not a company that really specializes in having a ton of high profile RPGs on their console. So I feel like Diablo 4 kind of would stand out considering the fact that it's a action RPG. And and I don't know, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like, like, obviously the quality of the Switch 2 version is not going to be on par with what you would get with the PlayStation 5 or PC or what have you. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people look at this as just like, whatever, what's the point of it, because Diablo 4 kind of like lost its steam and I guess lost its appeal or whatever. But but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like it's a game that really has a polarizing reception within the gaming community. Like critics love it, but then people feel like it's overrated as hell, it's bad, and obviously Diablo 3 was better, but I don't know. I mean, you can't argue with the commercial success that it's had since its release. So it's going to be really interesting to see like what Blizzard decides to do with Diablo 4 and whether or not they decide to bring it to the Switch 2 in the future.